What's up, guys, and welcome to the Quick Diz Takes podcast, episode 60. I am your host, Tim LeBeau, here with the one and only Mr. John Castano.
Hello.
This week, we have a little bit of a different episode. As you can tell, it's just us two, and we will be doing a little bit of an interview format today. We're going to have Phil and Jeremy from Cast Conversations on with us in a little bit. And those two former Disney cast members in the college program are going to give us a little insight on what it was like to work at Walt Disney World. Before we do that, we are going to give quick opinions on the three Caballeros in Epcot, which is, as you know, a dark ride in the Mexican Pavilion. There is not much for me to say about this ride, other than it's kind of boring. There's a part of it that reminds me of It's a Small World, and I'm probably not a big fan of this ride overall. I ride it all the time though, at the same time, because it's like easy to get on, and if I'm eating in there or even shopping in there, then I'm gonna go on it. So it's kind of good for that. In a way, you just feel like kind of riding something. It's not awful, it's just there. If I had to retheme, this is pretty obvious, but I would go Coco. I got a feeling Johnny may say the same thing, which is fine because it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's what should be done. So, yeah. And also, before Johnny goes, I would like to mention that this is going to be the last attraction we cover for a little bit here on the podcast. We will have a new segment coming up in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. Johnny, without further ado.
I might like it more than you do. I mean, there's elements like going through the restaurant. I like that whole thing, you know, with the whole with the volcano and everything. And then the only problem I think I have with it is I'm not a huge fan of like this the film they put on the screens. Like, I think it's, you know, the search for Donald is just kind of, it's cheesy. I mean, I understand that the people in it probably aren't actors, so they're really like fake looking with their actions that they do in it, when, you know, because they're acting to nothing as cartoon characters go by them. And then the whole, I mean, I mean, the best part of the ride, I think, is the animatronics at the end, even though they're currently not there, which I think they just have the cardboard cutouts up. So hopefully those come back. But I mean, it's a nice that they use the characters, because it's, you know, it's from something old, and then it's from something, you know, from an old thing, so it can get younger people interested to go back and watch it. So and they're you know, there's something different. But then the Coco thing is just too perfect, because it's full of the whole, you know, like the Day of the Dead history. The music in the movie is really good, so it just you could do so much with that. And I mean, I don't know, and Coco's probably, I don't know, one of, it's at the top of the list of the Pixar movies, I think. So it fits in nice. And the fact that they already have some Coco stuff in the pavilion anyway, it just fits good. Their only problem is just what they'd have to do to make a queue for that would be their only problem, which I think is maybe what's holding them up from actually doing it, just because it'll be as popular as like Frozen is, and there's no room.
It'd be a complete revival.
Yeah,
of that pavilion, and it's not that the pavilion needs a revival, but it would make that ride such a desirable ride.
Yeah,
you know, compared to what it is now. Although I think your point you're trying to make is valid too, is that where would you queue a really popular ride in Mexico? Because where they put that queue,
they'd have to get rid of all the shops on that.
They would have to, because I think Coco would be a regular 45 to 1 hour wait every day.
Which I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if like they would be. I would think most like those shops. I would think those are more like third party vendors. So they're paying to. I would think they're paying Disney to be in there. So are they going to want to lose
Probably not.
that? So unless they got to sneak it some way to go outside and around the building, I don't know what they would do.
And now the more we talk about it, the more I think to myself, does Disney purposely keep a semi-mediocre attraction in there because it just isn't prepared to handle
Yeah, I don't know.
that kind of I don't know. You could virtual queue it,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
yeah, because
You'd almost have to.
like right now with the whole social distancing and stuff, you have to I think that's the only pavilion you have to wait in a line to get into the pavilion to then wait in line to get into either La Cava or to get into the ride. So it's
Yeah.
they already have. I mean, they don't. I don't know.
At some point in history, I would imagine, I was never there to see it myself, but there had to have been a day, at least a day, where that ride garnered like a 60-minute wait time. Somewhere along the line,
Yeah, maybe.
I would think. And when that happened, I wonder what they did. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Maybe it didn't happen. I don't know. I don't know how long the wait time is. So how long do you wait when I've seen it spill out of the queue, and I can't think about how long the wait was then. So that queue might be long enough to hold maybe a 25 to 30-minute wait.
Maybe, but I'm trying to think of even because I think you only like switch back 3 or 4 times when they have it like because they had the plexiglass up the last time we went in there, so you had to walk through the whole queue. And I want to say you only went up and down. It was either 3 or 4 times before you get to that like the little platform where you walk down the hill to load. So I don't even know if it would be that maybe.
One good thing about it though
minutes.
is they can load that ride like
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
And how many people are on each boat? 4 or 5 a row for like 4 or 5 rows.
Yeah, I think it's like I think it's like the size of a pirate's boat almost.
Oh yeah,
least.
for sure.
Yeah.
So for that part of it, it doesn't mean anything though, because Pirates gets a 60-minute wait. Although that ride might be shorter, and that might help too. I don't know. Anyway, Coco's a no-brainer there as far as I'm concerned. If you want a ride that people can actually have a desire to ride. All right, so it is that time. Jeremy and Phil are ready to go. So without further ado, let's have those guys on right now. All right, guys. So we're here with Jeremy and Phil from the Cast Conversations podcast. They were kind enough to agree to come on the show and answer a few questions. They're former cast members. I do not know what years. What years were you guys at Disney, or what year should I say?
I was spring 2018, so a few years ago now.
And I was the following. I was spring 2019.
Okay, cool. And that was Disney World, correct?
Yep,
That's
Disney
right.
World,
Yep.
Orlando.
Okay. And you were, I believe, were on the college program.
3 separate families during my college program, all down in Florida. Like, to me, it was like, what are the chances that this time, like, that I'm working here, they didn't know I was working there, that we would all just run into each other. And they were like, "Are you Jeremy from high school?" There was like someone in my line I was working in Toy Story Land, and she was like, "I think we went to high school together." I was like, "Oh yeah, we did." So it was just kind of like, what are the chances of that?
That just goes to show how many people I think go to Disney World, right?
For real.
Yeah.
Because you guys have where you're from on your name tags, and I myself work from Rhode Island. I've seen people not that I knew them, but that once I spoke to them, I saw they were from Rhode Island. They lived like in the same town or one town over. And
Oh, wow.
Like, what a small world,
For real.
Yeah.
Being like you're in college program, do you get like they have those things where people call it, they get magic made for them? Is that something left to the higher ups, like manager type of people, or are you able to, like, if a kid lost something, could you replace it with something, or is that something like a
Now
higher
that
to do?
that's actually something any cast member is able to do, especially at miniature golf. Basically told us that our location was pretty much all paid for. So I gave away free games of golf all the time. Probably
That's
like
awesome.
probably several, like 2 a shift or so. If I saw, or if one kid came back and they were like crying because it was over, I'd be like, "You guys want to go again?" And they'd like, "Are you serious? That'd be awesome." And like, "Yeah, go ahead, have at it." But yeah, no, and then in the parks, Jeremy can talk about it. It's a little different for like giving away merchandise and
Yeah.
snacks and stuff. But yeah, go ahead.
So there's like two levels of giving things away. There's the normal, just like, hey, you want ice cream? Like you just hand up. You can essentially be like, hey, I went up to a family one time. I was like, you guys look kind of hungry, and they were like, huh? And I was like, I mean, like, I feel like only ice cream would like fill you up right now. And they were like, I mean, I guess. And I was like, well, I got some friends working here. Let's go find some ice cream. And so we went to a stand. Of course, I don't know the cast members working. I was like, my friend here is gonna hook you up. Mickey Mouse wanted me to give these to you, and you just get ice cream for these people because that's what Disney's about, right? Like making magic. And so that's one level. And then the next one up is a no strings. So the company has a policy where in certain circumstances, it's not all the time, but like let's just say a kid like spills something on themselves and their pants are just ruined. Disney can write you a no strings attached, where, like the name implies, you don't have to do anything back for the company. They'll just give you a pair of pants that, like, in one of the stores, and the company will just write it off. And that's kind of that. I did that a couple times for families that would come into the PhotoPass Center, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we want to get like 4 pictures, whatever." And I was like, "You sure you don't want like a 5th one?" They're like, "Oh no." And I was like, "But I mean, it'll be on me." And so I'd let them like pick out one picture. If they were like deciding between 2 and they couldn't pick, I'd be like, "Let me take care of that last one for you." And then I would just put a no strings in there. So just like little things like that, where any chance you get to make the vacation better.
It's amazing that's pretty cool that they give you that much power, even, at the level of just being there for a small amount of time. Just kind of shows that the Disney hospitality there.
And I guess one more thing I could add to that is one time we had well, to start, character lines take a while. They do when you're meeting characters, as you all know. And a family came in. They were so excited to see their pictures, and they were all black. Like, I don't know what happened. Maybe the camera's faulty, whatever. And so we had a PhotoPass cast member take them to the back of the line, go right in, take the pictures again, and we printed those off for free for them. So just a cool little thing. It's just like Disney just cares so much.
Yeah, that will make your whole trip.
Exactly.
Honestly, I think. Okay, so there's one question I definitely have to ask while I have you guys on. Were you able to, and if so, how often were you able to ride the attractions before or after closing, or for opening or after closing? I'm sorry.
Jeremy, you want to start on that one?
Sure.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, since Phil and I both didn't work in attractions, we were never given that opportunity.
Oh.
But yeah, I know. I would have been on Flight of Passage all day.
Yeah,
You would have just had to drag me off. But I do have some friends that worked in attractions. I know Phil's a story too, where every time they would open and every time they would close, they would have to ride the rides for safety purposes, for I'm sure for like security, to make sure no one's like hiding in the ride, and just to give the cast members a little bit of fun.
And yeah, so especially in the mornings, the cast members have to ride each ride to test them, make sure they're working properly for the day. And I had one roommate who was a lifeguard, and he was at Blizzard Beach at one point, and he told me that they ask you, or they require the I'm drawing a blank, the tall slide that's there,
Summit Plummet.
They require that to be ridden 5 times before they open, and
That's horrendous.
On his first day, there were like 4 of them up there, and they were like, all right, we got any volunteers for who's gonna do the 5 rides? And he was like, my friend was like, I'll do one, and nobody else was volunteering, and they were like, you get to do them all. You get to do all
That's
5.
horrible.
And so yeah, sometimes it's not always the greatest thing, but yeah.
My follow-up question on that would be, so the guy who goes down 5 times, he's testing, he's making sure no one's going to get hurt on that thing. Is that what's going on with that?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Pretty much. Yeah. That you're not gonna. Yeah. That it's not gonna. Nothing's gonna happen throughout the day, I guess. If
at that point, the worst part is the ride, the ride back. Oh, I guess you could take the ski lift. I was gonna say the worst part's the walk back up, but I guess you could take the ski lift up there.
Mike, it just makes me think to myself, when you're sitting up there and thinking, so if this isn't safe, am I getting paid nearly enough money to be doing this right now?
Right, exactly.
That's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you said you didn't work attractions, and then you did photo pass.
Yeah, I was photo
and
pass.
then you did the golf, the mini golf. Are you like stuck at those your whole thing, or do they kind of like, if they need you downtown Disney or Disney Springs,
so
they'd send you there?
Usually, so you go through quite a bit of training prior to starting your job, and so technically my role was attractions, but like I wasn't ride operation attractions. So and their system for all their shifts and things like that know what you're trained for, and there will be availability of shifts you can pick up if you want. And a common one that I would work is just the parade audience control for like Happily Ever After and whatnot, just because that was pretty much always available if you wanted to do it. And I found it fun. A lot of people did not find it fun. But like Jeremy's for PhotoPass, he can talk about it, but PhotoPass can pretty much work anywhere.
Yeah, I feel so fortunate. Like a lot of people talk about a lot of people like hate the program. Some people love it, but with PhotoPass, you can essentially do the job anywhere. I mean, all you're doing is pointing and clicking a button. So like, I mean, it takes an eye to like get a picture, but you can go work at Epcot. You can work at studios. They don't have anyone in Springs, or they have a PhotoPass center in Springs, but you can work anywhere as long as you're doing PhotoPass. So yeah, it's
along
really
with
nice.
like merchandise role as well. If
Yeah.
you're working in a merchandise shop, you can pretty much pick up shifts at any merchandise shop around. I think the same goes with quick service food and beverage as well. So it kind of depends on the role you get put in, and custodial. You can work pretty much anywhere. You can pick up shifts anywhere, but usually you have your home base to where you have your normal schedule where you're located at. The only time you would usually work somewhere else is if you were to pick up extra shifts.
Right. You won't just get like pushed somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you have any say in your jobs? Like, is there like a list you can say, like preferences, or did you just throw you out there?
When you're applying for the college program, at least you can. There's a long list of, you have to put like highly preferred, like average, or none at all. Basically, no interest at all. And if there's a job like lifeguard, if you put even just a little interest in that, you're probably going to get
your bathing suit.
Because they need like a ton of lifeguards,
but they get paid more too, so it's like
so,
you know.
But you got to pick and choose which ones you really would like to work. Some people will say, oh, you have interest in all of them, but if you really don't want to work a specific role, then and you're gonna hate it doing it, then
why would you do that?
You shouldn't put high interest. But for other normal cast members not in the college program, you can apply to specific like roles and locations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
college program, you're kind of more so told what you're gonna do.
Is there one attraction that is like, is there one attraction that's like the coveted, like everybody wants to work that attraction?
It's well, okay. So based on like what we have for our show, we have a lot of people come on, and um, I think kind of going off maybe analytics of our episodes based on which ones like get the most listens. People love the Jungle Cruise, and people love the Star Wars. So anything kind of in Galaxy's Edge, and now rest in peace Jungle Cruise. Those really, or Kilimanjaro Safaris too. People like.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I'd say kind of anything along the safari, if you will, and the Star Wars universe. Those do really.
And
Now that I'm thinking about it, sorry, Phil, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, well, there's quite a bit of people that honestly don't even want attractions. I would say probably the highest sought after role is character attendant. People love.
Do you think so?
I think so. People love character attendant, and usually when I ask people if they could have worked another role, what they would have done, that's usually character attendant. I feel like.
I guess I didn't think about that. That's kind of true. Yeah,
It seems like a very happy job. You get to see
It's-
just happy people all day. meeting
you'd be
their-
surprised,
their hero.
honestly, because their nickname is the Vacation Ruiner. A lot of
wow.
times they get the blame for when things go wrong. If a character has to step off for a minute, or
Oh
if
yeah, I see.
Mhm.
if a kid's crying, it's always the character attendant's fault. They
Right.
There's been a lot of times where I'm doing my pictures, I have my camera up, so I have to focus on one thing at a time, and my character attendant is there pulling people out of the way, saying like, "Hey, please don't step in front of my photographer." And I mean, they do a lot of brute work. Like I respect them a lot.
So that kind of segues into what I was going to ask next. Have any memorable moments dealing with rude guests?
Bill, you wanna?
Yeah, I have one specifically. You you wouldn't think it at a miniature golf course that there'd be much complaining to do, but everybody's always got something. So there was one guest. One of the courses that you can play is it's like the Fairways course. It was at one point ranked the hardest miniature golf course in the world. But so people would actually come there and take it pretty seriously. And one of our jobs is usually to blow any leaves off the course if there is any. But this day in particular, it was really windy, so it was constantly just leaves were blowing everywhere. The guy comes back, plays his entire 18, comes back, and he's like, "That was ridiculous. There's so many leaves on the course. I couldn't play my round right." And his wife comes over, and she was just like, "Are you complaining because you lost?" And it was so funny.
Just tell them to do better.
He was like asking for a refund because the ball kept hitting leaves and messing up his shots and whatnot. And it was like, dude, why'd you play the entire 18 if you weren't having a good time? But,
That's like eating your whole burger and then being like,
then
it wasn't
complaining.
cooked the way I wanted it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
I have two little ones. One time, so I wasn't even working. I don't know if I was drinking some black coffee. This is kind of a newer thing as of 2019 that I like black coffee, and it's because of Disney. They've got those Joffrey's stands. One day I needed a little caffeine before work, and I was standing behind a guy, and he was ordering something. They have something alcoholic at Joffrey's, and the cast member was like, "Hey, can I just get an ID?" He was like, "You really need an ID?" She's like, "Yeah, I do." He was like, "Really? You know I'm not under 21." She's like, it's law. Like, I have to ask for it." He was like, "You're going to make me walk all the way back to my wife, get my ID, and bring it back to you." And she's like, "Yes." And so he went and did it, got his wallet, and he was like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Okay, Rebecca, I'm going to go talk to guest relations about this." And so then I went up and I was like, "Hey, I want to let you know I'm also a cast member. I'm going to go talk to guest relations too and tell them what actually happened." So then she's like, "Thank you." She's like, this drink's on me." So we gave each other a magical moment, I guess. But then the other one is, so I was working with a character attendant, and like I said, the character attendants get the brute, like for real. I feel bad for them sometimes. There was someone that was just standing in front of Daisy Duck, because when Daisy and Duck, when it's not raining, they stand in front of Sid's, which is one of the stores. When it's raining, they go up on the under the porch. A man was just standing in front of me. I was trying to take my pictures, and the character attendant's like, "Can you please just like scooch over a little bit?" He's like, "What?" She's like, "Can you please just scooch over just a little bit? You're sitting our way." He's like, "What did you say to me?" She's like, "Please, I just need you to scooch over here." And he's like, "You're being such a." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And obviously, my character attendant started crying because I mean, I think that's an appropriate response to that. She was just trying her best. Like, don't call my character attendant a you know? We're in Disney World.
Yeah,
it's wrong.
It's Daisy Duck. Like, give me a break. But yeah, I was very fortunate. Phil and I think, had very good programs with very little action, so that's good.
Yeah.
I think people just get, not to interrupt you, John. People just get in their mind. I think they go into the park that day and they're like, I'm just gonna lay into a cast member no matter what I do. I really don't believe that guy was fine that day, and then he decided at the last moment that this, particular girl made him angry and he was gonna explode. He was ready to go. He was just waiting for any little thing, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. Or like, you see a lot of people just being there, like they're the only people in the park. Obviously, it's their day, so don't say a thing to me. God.
Yeah, and the cast members got to be on their A game in terms of politeness. So it's almost like, let me see how much I can poke the bear, and see if this person will come back at me. I remember my wife and I were at the ice cream place on Main Street, leaving like 1:00 in the morning, extra magic hours in the middle of summer. And this lady was just, I don't remember the specifics, but she was just laying into the person that was the cashier, making a scene. The cashier just kept smiling and doing her thing. And I'm thinking to myself, I would have just 10 minutes ago, I would have lost it. And this lady was being so harsh. There's not enough bleeping out you could do for the words this is saying to this poor girl. And this is probably 22, 23-year-old girl. It seemed like a sweet girl. Trying to get done for the night, 1 a.m. Give this woman some ice cream, and this lady's flipping. It's like, where? I don't get it. I just don't understand.
I guess I have one quick one too. This also goes back to a weird interaction. I was working at, I don't know if it was Princess Fairy Tale Hall or if it was with Anna and Elsa, but I had a character attendant come up to me and she whispered, she's like, just to let you know, there might be a few more leaders in here today. We overheard a boy in line saying he wanted to punch a princess. And so they were like, we're gonna monitor that a little bit. Yeah. And nothing came from it. So that's good.
At least the kids have a little bit of an excuse. The kid probably just thought he was being funny and didn't really realize. Yeah. Where the adults are just, what's your deal?
Exactly.
Yeah, for real.
Like, this might work. Like, you being photo pass and you being out at a mini golf course, is there any like I guess famous or like celebrity type encounters, like where like you'd be pulled aside to take photos somewhere, or they wanted to play the golf course by themselves or with limited interaction?
So when I was there, the highest profile people we had come to our course was some of the Atlanta Braves players, just because they were having spring training there. So they would come with their girlfriends or wives every other night or so while they were down there, and just for something to do. But that was the biggest I had. But I had coworkers tell me that Bubba Watson would come play pretty often, just because at one point he lived in the area, and he's got a YouTube video up online where he does this like trick shot at the course and whatnot. And we would Tiger Woods came and played at one point, and he shot like a 74. So people who come back and tell us their score, we're like, well, you did better than Tiger Woods. So there you go.
As long as the leaves aren't out there, right?
Yeah, right.
So for me, we one time in the park had what's Captain America's name? Chris Evans. Chris Evans. He was apparently near me one day, and I didn't know. I never saw him, but I would also lump in Make-A-Wish families with celebrities. we had a lot of Make-A-Wish families. One time we had a stormtrooper two stormtroopers take pictures with a boy who was dressed as a stormtrooper, which was awesome. And then we went ahead and just printed those pictures out, gave it to him on the spot. So just kind of, again, magical moments like that.
Yeah.
See, I could see where the Braves would go, because most teams, when they win a championship, they go to Disney World, right? And the Braves, they're not going there that way. So they ought to get down there before the season starts.
Exactly.
I see that Cubs banner flying proudly in the back of Jeremy over there.
Yeah, you gotta. They lost 5-3 today. The Pirates, which is my least favorite team in the MLB. So that was a tough loss, but you move on.
And I think I heard in the podcast that Philip is a Cardinals fan.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow.
Right. I am a Cardinals.
So that's got to be a tough. Okay. Now we're Red Sox fans up here.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But you probably hate us, Phil.
Yeah.
Last 2 World Series.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny because I think you both live in Illinois right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Both in Illinois.
Okay. Is there any particular reasons why you are the fans of the teams you are, or is it just kind of?
I feel like Illinois is just split down the middle. Once you get to
okay.
Because like normal they say is like the heart of Illinois. So that's where my college is, Normal, Illinois. And if you are above Normal, you're probably a Cubs or a Sox fan, maybe even a Brewers fan. And then if you're below Normal, it's almost guaranteed you're a Cardinals fan. Yeah.
Okay.
And me specifically, I just have family in the St. Louis area. My aunt lives like 3 blocks from Busch Stadium, so you can literally watch the games from the roof of her apartment building.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
I heard you talking about it. So I had in the last podcast, so I had to make sure I asked.
For sure.
All right, so in our normal podcast, we place a kind of a popular segment that's kind of become, or a segment that has become popular, is just taking random celebrities or people, just general in any movies, entertainment, politics, whatever, and plugging them into a Disney park or attraction or wherever you want to put them. So we had asked Jeremy and Philip to place Justin Timberlake into the parks, and interested to hear what you guys had. So
the one I'm going with is, I'm saying it's going to be a statue figurine of Justin Timberlake placed in the graveyard scene of Haunted Mansion, and he's going to be singing Grim Grinning Ghosts. That's where I'd put him.
That's solid.
Yep.
So I've got 2 submissions. I couldn't decide which one was best. First, I think it'd be great to have one of America's leading men in the Epcot Pavilion introducing the singers at I don't know what they're called, the Liberty Singers. He's a musician. He's a good-looking guy. Put that suit on, introduce him nice and well. The other one is going over to Cosmic Rays. Get rid of that robot. We don't need him anymore. Why don't we put Justin Timberlake, ramen hair and all, singing some oldies, not oldies, but 2000s hits, maybe the 90s. That could be a new life to Cosmic Rays. So
I like that. I like both those, actually. So mine was, I got a little lazy, so I apologize, but I did and I didn't, because I really think this needs a retheme, and so I just kind of used it to make it happen. I want to put him in Rock and Roller Coaster and just make it his ride, because I actually have a video coming out on the channel soon about this. And as much as I like the roller coaster, and as much as I like Aerosmith being from New England and all, and then being from Boston, it's just, I think we probably all agreed it's probably time to get away from a rock band that hasn't really been relevant in quite some time.
Yeah. We rethemed that ride, actually. I think I made it a Phineas and Ferb ride. Isn't that what we did?
Yeah. All right. I like that.
You are introduced to like Dr. Doofenshmirtz in the recording room, where he kind of talks about his plan to ruin the tri-state area, whatever. But the ride you're on is the Phineas and Ferb roller coaster from the first episode. So that's like what it is. And I think that could be an interesting ride too.
I think anything but Aerosmith at this point would be interesting, but I do actually like that idea. But
if you take you get like an animatronic of him from the I believe the album, the No Strings Attached album, I believe it was called. You have him hanging like a puppet. You get the puppet version of him. You have him hanging from the ceiling at the end of Small World,
No.
and just saying bye 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 as you leave him. Instead
Wow.
of instead
really
of you seeing your name up there on the screen, you saying, or you could he could attach to your magic band. You could say bye and say your name.
Maybe in some other languages.
Yeah. He's been around
Wow,
the
that's
world,
actually
so,
pretty
yeah.
good.
You really thought
yeah,
about
that's
that one,
actually-
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I
I
take
wasn't
this
even
seriously.
thinking in those terms, but I like that.
I
Johnny's
was
actually been. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I was wondering where you're going when he was hanging. So I was like, where are we going with this?
I was gonna put him in the haunted mansion stretching room or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
But just so you guys know, Johnny's been absolutely on fire with the like we're putting these things in the park lately. So this is not this is not new.
No, that's
some pretty good
awesome.
ideas. Had some pretty good ideas. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. Before we do, I'm gonna let Phil or Jeremy or both of them plug their podcast and let you guys know when they air their podcast and what their podcast is all about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeremy. You know all the handles and
Perfect.
stuff.
Well, again, we're 2 of the 4 from Cast Conversations. We air on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We have a new show with 2 of our newest hosts, Jesse and Maria. And they do a new segment called The Disney Bubble, where they, instead of talking to cast members, they talk to Disney influencers, give a little bit of a new insight of a kind of different part of the Disney community. So that one comes out on Thursdays, and then Phil and I have our solo episode on Tuesdays and our interview on Saturdays.
Where we talk to cast members.
Cast members, yes.
Then we just hear about their experiences like we kind of shared today, and
Right.
get to hear all those unique stories and whatnot.
Yeah, when Jeremy reached out to me on the Disney podcast group on Facebook, I was really pumped because this was the first time I really reached out to get guests, and you guys were former cast members, and I was like, this is perfect because, for someone who's never worked in the parks, everything you said is interesting,
Sure.
beyond interesting. And their podcast, guys, their podcast is great. I haven't, delved into a ton of it yet, but I'm going to continue to listen. I enjoy it, and I recommend you all do out there as well. So I want to thank you guys for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll do it again sometime or whatever. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. It's a world of hopes and a world of fears. There's so much that we share that it's time we're aware.
All right, guys, we're going to see you next week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out www.quickdiztakes.com, Quick Diz Takes on Facebook, Quick Diz Takes Tim on Instagram, Quick Diz Scoop on Instagram. And we will see you all with our full roster next week.